Hello everyone, welcome to our Zoho Flow webinar. In this session, we are going to look into this brand new integration platform that we have launched a couple of months back. Zoho Flow basically helps you connect different cloud applications to automate your business processes. So let's go ahead and get started with this webinar. This webinar is a monologue, but you can always talk to us through chat. So if you have any questions, you can always type during this webinar. My name is Rahul Kumar and I'm the product marketer for Zoho Flow. Today we will begin with an overview of Zoho Flow, move on to how it works, and then we'll go right into product demo. And at the end of this session, if you have any questions, please type them out into the question section and I'll try to answer them. And if you like this webinar, please don't forget to tweet about us with hashtag Zoho Flow. We would love to hear from you. So let's go ahead and get started. In this webinar, we will talk about why you need an integration platform and then why you need Zoho Flow as your integration platform. And then I'll give you a small demo of the product. And at the end, we'll move towards the question answer session. So taking up the first question of why you need an integration platform. Well, in recent years, if you see, the cloud has grown manifold and we have hundreds of thousands of apps floating around. These diverse applications have led to exclusive processes, but these processes are disparate. For example, if you have your customer support unit on Zoho Desk and you manage your customers on CRM solution. Now, to manage your customer efficiently, both these applications need to talk to each other. But such integrations are not easy to build because they need complex codes to be written. You need to hire an expert for that. And still, it does not serve all the custom needs that you might have vis-a-vis your business processes. And that is why we have launched Zoho Flow, a comprehensive integration platform that helps you automate your business processes. Now that we have talked about why you need an integration platform, let me give you a brief of why you need Zoho Flow as your integration platform. Well, it's a very easy to use integration platform, and the drag and drop interface allows you to create different integrations without writing any code. But still, if you want to write code, we have features like custom function, which allows you to write your own functions to be added into your different workflows. And if you are part of Zoho One, you already have Zoho Flow there. So if you have a Zoho One account, you don't have to buy any additional license for Zoho Flow. You can use that right there in your Zoho One account. So now let's go ahead and see how this platform works. Basically, Zoho Flow works on this widely accepted or widely known rule of trigger and actions. A trigger is an event that takes place in an app, or it can also be a schedule that you want to pick. So it's an event that basically starts a workflow. And then you have actions. Actions are basically different tasks that follow automatically after this trigger happens. So for example, if you get a new lead added in your CRM module, lead module, then you can have a follow-up notification being sent to your chat solution, or you could create a task for that lead in your projects software. So these are different actions that follow automatically. Now let's go ahead and understand how this product works. So we'll move towards demo. So if you don't have any account created with Zoho Flow, go to zoho.com/flow, sign up with an account and create your org, and then you can access your Flow account. When you have created your org, you'll be landing into the interface like this, where you can see a list of all the flows. And every Zoho Flow account is org account by default, which means you can add different members into your org, and you can also be part of different orgs. For example, here in this case, this particular account is part of different orgs. So Frank is the person who is part of these different orgs. At any point in time, you can switch from one org to other, and you can see a list of workflows that are created. So here in this case, Right now I'm in Zilker org. Now before I proceed into creating a flow, let me give you a small brief of different screens. Now under your account drop down, you can see the usage of your tasks. We'll talk about tasks in some time. And then you have different orgs which you can manage by clicking this manage button. So if you click on this button, it will show you the list of orgs that you're part of. You can make any organization as your default. You could also leave any org at any point in time. So let's go back now. Now, before I show you the left menu items, let me highlight this element, Explore Gallery. This is basically a list of all the pre-built workflows that we have in Zoho Flow, which you can use right away. So if you go to this list, you'll see all the applications that we have hosted. We have more than 100 cloud applications hosted on Zoho Flow. You could pick any of the apps and it will show you the pre-built workflows for that particular app. So here, as you see, we have all these workflows that involve Gmail. So you can go and click on this Use this Flow button, and right away you can connect your accounts to use this workflow. So now we'll skip this part. Now here you see on the left side there are a few elements that I would like to explain. Under dashboard, you have the basic analytics of your account, which is you can see what all flow, how many flows you have created, how many are live, which ones are paused, and the execution details are in the graphical manner here. You could also see the history of different flows and the list of top executing flows. So you can also have the filter here, time-based like last week, current week, etc. So that's where you see the basic analytics of your flow account, and my flows, which I have shown, where you see list of flows. And under settings, you have details of your org, which is you see all the details that you would have given while creating this org. And then you have the history, which is the log of all the executions that have happened in your Zoho Flow org. So you can apply these filters to see time-based executions, for example, month to date, etc. So it will pull the details of all the executions in this time frame. And if you click on one of these logs, you'll see the detailing of all the executions, all the steps that were involved, what kind of data points were moved from one app to another, and things like those. So in case something did not work well, you will be able to pinpoint where it went wrong. Now, moving on from history to connections. Connections is nothing but the list of all the accounts that you would have connected to Zoho Flow. For example, here I have connected Gmail, Trello, and apps like those, Calendly, etc. Here you could also create a new connection by clicking on this Create Connection button. You could also delete the list of connections that you don't want. And if you're changing the credential of any of the apps, you could just click on Reconnect and this will start working again. Now, if you want your team members to access these connections and create workflows, you need to share by clicking on this button. So this is where you see different connections. And under members section here on the left, you will see list of people that are there in a particular org. So these are 2 people who are part of this Zilker org. Frank is an owner and Tom is an admin. Now you could also change the role of this particular user here. You can make him just a user by clicking on this. So that's how you define roles for different users. Now you can also add new members into this org by clicking on this Add Member button. If you click on this, it will ask you to give the name of this invitee, the email ID, and you can choose the role that you want to give for this particular user. Once chosen, you can go ahead and click on Send, and the invite will be sent to that user. Now, to create a new flow, you could either click on this plus button on the left, or you could click on this Create Flow button on the top right. So if you click on this, it will take you to the interface where you have to provide the name of the flow and also the description. So description is nothing but the identifier that gives you the details of what is this flow about. So here I would like to give you the overview of a couple of use cases that we have in mind so that you'll have a better understanding of how Zoho Flow works. So to create a workflow from scratch, what I'm trying to do here is I'm picking two Zoho applications. One is Zoho Forms and the other one is Zoho CRM. So what I'll do here is uh, imagine you have a form hosted on Zoho Forms, which is sitting on your website page. This might be for an event. Now you want to capture the leads for this event using that form, and you want to create those leads into your CRM module. So to do that, what you need to do is you need to connect your Zoho Forms account and a particular form in that account, and then you need to connect your CRM account with Zoho Flow. So we'll go ahead and give the name of this use case. Let's call it Zoho Form to Zoho CRM. And as description is optional, we can skip and go ahead. Let's click on create. Once you have given the name and description to your workflow, it will take you to the builder, where the first step is to choose how you want your workflow to execute. So there are two ways in which a workflow can be executed. One is app-based, which means if there is an event or an update in an app, based on that, I want my workflow to execute. You could also choose a schedule-based trigger, which is, suppose you want your workflow to execute every day at 9 a.m. in the morning. So you could do that by clicking on this schedule-based trigger. Now, we'll go ahead in this case with app-based trigger, because what we are trying to do is we are initiating or starting this workflow based on the data submission in Zoho Forms. So let's go ahead and click on this configure button. And once you have chosen how this workflow executes, you will be seeing the list of applications that are there to choose from to configure your trigger. So we have more than 100 applications from which you can choose your app. So let's go ahead and choose Forms. So we have Zoho Forms here. Click on the app, go next. Now once you have chosen the application that will be your trigger app, you will see a list of different triggers that this particular application supports. Here in this case, we have new form entry as a trigger that we can choose. So when you click on this, you can go next and connect your account. Now before I proceed, let me give you a small brief of what this real time means. So different applications support different types of triggers. We have two types, webhook based and polling based. Now webhook based is also called real time. So what happens is, in case of webhook trigger, as soon as data is updated or data is added in a particular app, it sends it instantly to Zoho Flow. So your workflow will execute instantly. But in case of polling, Zoho Flow has to go to that particular application and check for data updates at a regular interval of time, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, etc. So when the time frame is there, the update is being fetched and then workflow executes. So here in this case, it's real time. Let's choose this trigger and go next. Now, once you have chosen your trigger type, you need to connect a Zoho Forms account here. So to do that, we have this concept of connection. So connection is a way for Zoho Flow to access data from your different applications. You can create a new connection here by clicking on this new connection button and provide the name. So you can call it Frank's new forms connection. And you also have the level at which the data can be accessed. It could be for all the triggers and actions, or you could also choose for specific triggers and actions. So here we'll go ahead with all the trigger actions and authorize. Now once you click on authorize, it will just ask you to accept and authorize. And remember, different applications have different authentication schemes. For example, in case of some of the Zoho applications, you'll have to generate auth token by clicking on a button. so it can change from app to app. Let's go ahead and accept this, and our connection is now successfully created for Zoho Forms, and this is already selected here. Now all the connections that you create for a particular application will be listed here in the drop down. At any point in time you can choose the one connection that you want to go ahead with. So I have this new forms connection here. And once the connection is chosen, it will basically pull all the forms that are sitting in that particular account. So let's go ahead and see what all forms we have. We have these 3 forms in my Zoho Forms account. I'll go ahead and choose website lead. So the idea is that if there is any data submission on this form which is sitting on my website page, I want to create a new lead in my Zoho CRM leads module. So let's go ahead and click on done. And that's about it. We have configured our trigger application, which is Zoho Forms. Now we have come into the builder where you can have list of tasks configured as different actions. So here in the builder, you'll see on the left side you have all the different applications that we have hosted with Zoho Flow. You could pick any app and different actions that they support. So based on this new form entry, you can take any of the actions from these apps. For example, I could choose to go to this active campaign drop down and try to create a new contact based on this new forms entry in Zoho Forms. But our idea is to create a CRM lead. So we'll go to search CRM, and then under Zoho CRM dropdown, we have different actions that this particular application supports. So our idea is to create or update a lead. So let's drag and drop this particular action here. And similar to how we have configured trigger, you can configure your action too. So you can create a new connection just the way we did for forms, or you could pick the one that is already created. So let's go ahead and click on this Frank's CRM connection. And once you have chosen this connection, it will pull the leads module fields, and then here you can map all the fields that you want to map from previous step. For example, while creating this lead in CRM, you want to fetch data from your Zoho Forms fields. So here you have this feasibility of connecting different fields to the relevant fields in Zoho Forms. So for example, in case of this company field, I could just click on the field here and then click on company name in this insert variable section of Zoho Flow. Zoho Forms. So here click on this company name and then click on first name and map the first name. So here it is, name first. You could again map last name, which is mandatory. So last name, and then maybe I'll map email. And we have a lot of other fields that we can skip. So none of the mandatory fields are there now. So what we will do is with these 3-4 mapping, we will just go ahead and click on done. So now we have configured an action also. So Zoho Form as the trigger and Zoho CRM as the action. Now this is the simple workflow that I had briefed about. The next step would be to save this flow. To do that, you can click on this save button on the top right. And once you have clicked on this, your flow will be saved, but it's not yet over. You need to switch this flow on to make it live. To do that, you click on this your flow toggle button. You click on this and your flow will be switched on. Now our flow is live and we'll try to execute this quickly. So we'll go to our Zoho Forms website lead form, and then we'll check whether this lead has been created or not. So we'll call it Ryan M. Email will be ryanm@zilker.com, and then we can put the contact and the company name as Zilker. And let's have just hi as comment and submit this data. Now, once you have submitted the data in Zoho Forms, you can go back to your Flow account and check this history to see whether the execution has happened or not. So here it is. You have got this flow executed once, and if you click on this, you will see the output of the forms, and then you'll see what happened in your Zoho CRM account. So now let's go ahead and see in our Zoho CRM account whether we have got this lead created or not. So there you go, you have this Rayan M added as a new lead. So this was a simple workflow that I wanted to show here. Now let's go ahead and see what all are there in this segment. So you have builder, where you have seen the entire process of flow creation, and then you have history, under which you see the log of all the executions, and in summary you can see the graphical representation, the details, the name and description of the flow, which you can edit, and all other details like history and the connections involved, etc. So summary is where you have all the details of this particular workflow. So now let's go ahead and close this. We have a couple of more interesting features that I would like to show through a couple of other workflows that we have already created. Here in this case, I'll try to explain two flows. One is auto escalate ticket. So what we have done in this case, let's click on this. So in this particular use case, what we are doing is, let's go to the builder. And here you see, we have connected Zoho Desk, Zoho CRM, and Slack. So in this use case, what we have done is, when a new ticket is created in my Zoho Desk account, I'm trying to fetch that contact from my CRM account, and then I'm trying to fetch the associated deal amount from this CRM account, and then we have applied this decision. So this is what I wanted to highlight. When you go to this logic section beside apps, you will see different logic elements that you can use to add deeper rules and details of those rules into your workflow. So here you can set a variable that can be passed on to the next task. You can have a decision and then branch your flow based on that. For this case, what we have done is, based on the deal value, we have taken a decision. So what happens is, if the deal value is more than $10,000, I want to check whether this ticket is still open for a minute. So I don't want to delay the response for this ticket. So if the deal value is higher than $10,000, I'm delaying it for a minute, and I'm checking it again in desk. And if the ticket is still open, I'm sending a quick channel message to the team that can quickly respond to this. So here what we have done is, we have dragged and dropped this decision element, and then we have configured it something like this, that if the amount is greater than $10,000, based on that, I'm taking a decision here. Then after this decision, we are applying a delay of a minute. So delay it for a minute, and then again check the ticket whether it's still open. So I fetch the ticket and again put the decision where I'm checking whether this ticket is still open. So the status is equals open, means I have to quickly take an action on this. So automatically, if for a minute this ticket is still open, I would like to send a message to the special task force in my customer support unit so that they can take care of it quickly. So this is where I wanted to highlight this idea of decisions, delays, and other logic elements. Now, one more very important feature that I want to highlight is custom function. So let's go ahead to another flow and see how we have used custom function. So let's close this, and we will pick this other workflow, which is ticket sentiment analysis. Let's click on this particular workflow, and let's go to the builder. So in this use case, what we have tried to do is, we have got a new ticket in our desk account, and based on the ticket's sentiment, we have tried to take a decision. So to understand this sentiment of the ticket, we have applied this custom function. So let me show you how we have done that. Let's go to the logic section, and under the custom function drop down we have all these pre-built the functions that we have already created. Now, while configuring this workflow, you have configured new ticket as trigger, and then you have applied this sentiment. So applied this custom function get sentiment. So what we have done is we have clicked on this custom function, and once you click on this, it will ask you to give the details of this particular function, and then when you go next, you will see something like this. So this kind of interface will open. In this use case, what we have done is we have written a custom function in which we are trying to fetch the description of the ticket, and then we have run an API, Alchemy third-party API, which gives us a XML file, and we have tried to understand the sentiment of this ticket with this return that comes. And based on the sentiment, we have taken a decision that if the sentiment of this particular ticket description is negative, then you quickly send a mail to probably the manager of this unit. So here we have first created this custom function, and as any other action, it sits into the custom functions dropdown, and you can use one custom function across different workflows also. So while dragging and dropping it here, you will have to configure something like this, that this particular custom function is being mapped with the description. So it reads that description and then gives you the output as either negative, positive, or neutral. And then based on that, you send a mail. So that was about custom function and how you can write your own code to add different rules into your workflow. So basically that was all about how you can work with Zoho Flow. And that will be all from my end. So now if you have any questions, you can shoot them to me in question section and I'll try to answer them. So please go ahead and type your questions. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this webinar today. And please don't forget to mention us as hashtag ZohoFlow in your tweets. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, you could write to us at support@zohoflow.com. And you could also check our resources page, zoho.com/flow/help, if you want to get the initial inspiration on how it works. So thank you again for joining me today on this webinar. We'll be planning more webinars on different concepts, different applications and processes. So stay tuned. Thank you again for joining us.